Okay, everybody. Hi, this is Shannon. I am Shannon Posh from Pish Posh Reselling, Pish Posh Vintage. Those are my different store names on different platforms like eBay and Etsy and Poshmark, Ruby Lane, places like that. So I'm about to film the What Sold video, and this is the items that have sold, items that I've found at thrift stores and yard sales and such that I, in turn, am selling on eBay and those platforms that I mentioned. And so these are going to be the items that sold for the past week. So from the 13th to the 19th. So I'm doing like a Sunday to a Saturday type thing. So I'm about to film that, but I also had a couple things I just wanted to mention. So the video that dropped Sunday morning was a first half of like a thrift with me day, a thrifting day that I had last week. And so I was only able to do the first half of that. And I had said in the video at the very end, if you watched all that way, if you did, thank you so much. But I had said that I was hoping to get the second half out like the next day, which would have been today, Monday. But that wasn't possible. So what I'm thinking, because it's such a busy week for everybody, and I need to get some work done this week on other things, I'm thinking the part 2 will come out next Sunday, because I'm going to film the What Sold right now. That's going to come out tomorrow. And so then we'll just do part 2 of that thrift haul. It's almost like a separate thrift haul because it was a second store. Like just one store that I went to. So we'll just go ahead and save that for next Sunday, I believe. So I'm super excited. We moved a couple months ago and it was into a more rural area, and our internet ever since has been terrible. It's been like, it was DSL. So it's like downgrading back to 2010. And so reselling and homeschooling and all those things have been super, super hard. We've been really patient, trying to be patient. My kids have been patient. We realize this is just first world problems, but we were just kind of like, we needed to do something about it because my business relies on the internet so much. So we had to switch over to a satellite company, and it all showed up today, got it hooked up, and it's so wonderful. Things are so fast. So before, I was trying to list the last few weeks, the last couple months, and like just pictures, you're sitting there waiting for pictures to upload, and it just slows down your whole like momentum. You're like, I'm gonna list so much today, and then you can't. Even like cross-posting, when I'd use Vendu, because there's pictures being like sent to new platforms, you're like waiting and waiting. So it's just slowed down my whole process. So I'm super excited to have a better internet now, and I feel like I'll be able to get caught up on a lot of things, and hopefully we'll see how much faster, I hope, YouTube videos will get uploaded, and that'll kind of just help my whole process with that as well. So super excited, like I said 3 times already, if not more. But anyway, let's just go ahead and go into solds. I had about 12 solds this past week on eBay. I had 8 on Poshmark, none on Depop again. I have not really been paying much attention there. Etsy for the sewing patterns, I just had 2. And then Ruby Lane I forgot to write it down, but I think I had about 5. So not a terrible week, but yeah, I mean, there's always room for improvement, and most of the platforms were a little bit active, but yeah, definitely this time of year, we probably should be seeing a little bit more activity, but it is what it is this year. So we just keep doing our best. So let's go ahead and get into the solds. I don't think I'm going to have a exit video. So, like I said, I've got What Sold, and then I've got the part 2 of the thrifting coming up, and then I'll have What Sold. The plan is for Tuesdays. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you don't mind, if you want to see any more What Sold videos, and I'll stop talking and we will go ahead and get started on the solds. Thanks, everybody. So starting off with eBay, like I said, this is going to be sales from the week of November 13th through the 19th. So first off is a CD. So I don't sell a ton of CDs, but I just happened to look at that section in a small thrift store, and this kind of jumped out at me, and I looked up the comps, and they weren't so bad. So I went ahead and grabbed that, probably paid about $1. It's $19.99, but I still have that 10% coupon running. So it's minus 10%. And let's go on to the next one. Lego. So this was my husband's listing. He's the Lego seller, and him and my boys kind of work on that. So he did a lot of it during the pandemic, and he would buy large lots of Lego, and then he would find partial sets. They'd be partial, and then he would find the pieces needed to complete them. And so he went back and forth on a couple different platforms with people who wanted lower prices, and he ended up, oh, I remember what happened. Okay, so he dropped the price for the guy. He had gone back and forth, and the guy was out of offers. And so then the guy came back at my husband's last price and said, okay, fine, I will take that. I'll take $40. And so my husband was like, okay, fine. So both of them were out of offers and counter offers, so he had to change the price. Well, what we totally forgot, he forgot, because I'm the one who does the 10% off, is that the guy then also got 10% off. So it was still higher than his price, but it wasn't the full 40, so it was $36. So that kind of stunk after all that negotiating, but what are you gonna do? These things happen. But Lego is a good seller. It's just, there's so much to it. I don't know much about it. My husband, my kids have a Lego room, basically, at our new place. They have a rec room, and they have shelving and bins and sorting bins and all sorts of things for Lego. So it's nice that they're able to sell once in a while so that they can, do that. Offset the expenses, but buying Lego secondhand is definitely the way to go. Okay, so this was a pair of, just going back for a second, something I forgot about. This is a pair of Nike leather flip-flops. We got these on our trip in North Carolina. I do remember we paid $10 at a thrift store. It was kind of a pricier thrift store, but not too bad. They're Nike ACG. So I think I said in my last video that there's certain things of Nike that they kind of have to be really over the top, or vintage Nike SB skateboarding sells. So Nike ACG is always something that we'll take a second look at as well. So we just went ahead. We were on our trip to North Carolina, and we found these at the thrift store, and I listed them. Took the pictures on my parents' sidewalk. See, there's the ACG, and they sold. So this was also minus the 10%. So I think I said something in an earlier video where international buyers can't use the coupon, but I think that's wrong. So this buyer was actually in India, and he also got the 10%. So they sold for $45, which isn't bad for a pair of flip-flops. Then Crocs. Crocs are so interesting to me, the fact that they sell so well. So these are Crocs. They're sandals. They're little slides. I Google Lens them and searched Google to find out the name of the pattern with this little two-tone with a ring on it. So the story on these, which was kind of funny. So if you saw my video about the mid-century grail that I found up in that thrift store, when I was there the first day, I saw these Crocs, and I knew they'd be about $3, but I was like, oh, I'm not so sure. I couldn't search the exact. I didn't know the style name or anything, so it was really hard to search comps really quickly, and I should have just grabbed them. They were $3, right? Crocs sandals are a good thing. And so I went home, and as I was researching that mid-century Grail, the dinnerware, I was like, oh, let me check those Crocs. And I saw that they sell very consistently for $30. And so I was like, well, you know what? If the dinnerware's gone, at least when we go back up to the store, I'll try to get the Crocs and then our trip won't be completely wasted. But they were both there. Dinnerware was there. Crocs were still there. So I grabbed those. These sold really quickly, super easy to ship and list and all that. And they did sell. I took an offer for $28 on those. So yeah, it was less than the $32.99, but $28, and then they don't get the coupon if you're dealing with offers. These, okay, I've said this before, that vintage Carhartt, when they're distressed and like these, like messed up, that they sell really well. Well, that's true except for these. So these are, I think it was just the size was just very odd, right? So I just bought them, or my husband bought them. They've been listed a really long time. And so it's size 36, but only like a 27 inseam. So it needed the right buyer, but we've been dropping the price. And it has the red quilt lining, which I don't know that that's super popular. But anyway, finally just sold it for $30 minus the 10%. So glad they're gone. We've had them poking around for a while. Now, this is one of my favorite things. I just thought it was so awesome. I had put this on Instagram as the award for the longest listed item goes to, and it would be this one. So the thing back here is a box, and then it's these little booklets, and it was How to Be Smart and Charming, and by Alma Archer, and they were from 1941. It's kind of like a little etiquette guide. And I had them listed on eBay. I had them listed on Etsy. You know, it's just one of those things where people don't know to look for it, right? So I probably should have spent more time with social media. I don't know. There had been some comps higher, like 150 to 200, and I started off there. But, you know, it's just, I don't know. Nobody wanted them. But fine. Look at that zebra. But anyway, I finally sold them. I almost fell over when I woke up in the morning. Good thing I was still laying down. Haha. And somebody had bought them, and they got the 10% off with the coupon, and it was free shipping, but we used medium mail, I believe. If I didn't make a note of that, but I think we did. Anyway, okay, so that moved on. The price is not bad. Like I said, paid $1 at a yard sale. I just had to store it for 5 years or more. Okay, here's a good brand to look out for in shorts, and I think you would probably notice shorts like this. They're called Loudmouth is the brand. It's a golfing brand, and let's see if I can get the logo. It's kind of LM, right? Loudmouth. There's a size. Yeah, there's a logo. So, yeah, if you see anything loud and kind of crazy, just double check it. But these sold very, very quickly. These sold at an offer for $26. So took an offer on that, so no coupon. But I just was like, you know, you see it. It was the first time finding Loudmouth for me. I had it on my list as, you know, my mental list of things to look for. And, you know, it's not quite the time of year that we sell a whole lot of golf stuff. And so for it to sell that quickly within a couple of weeks is a good sign. So it's that sell-through rate. That's what you're looking for. Okay, this one also had been listed for a while. It was just a really super nice pullover, but, you know, just Under Armour. And it was so funny. My husband, we always joke around about the fact that when you touch something in your inventory or you move it, that then it sells like the next day. And so he had just like was moving things around and saw this, and he's like, you know, that's so nice, and it's his size, and he's like, I don't know why we're selling it. I should just keep it and wear it. And of course, then it sold the next day. So we took an offer for $25, but, and that's shipping is not usually included. You can tell that last listing I did with the little booklets with free shipping, that was a leftover listing from a long time ago. So anyway, yeah, buyer paid shipping, and hopefully they're happy with that. Okay, this was kind of interesting. You may know the whole book set by Time Life, The Old West, and if you have the complete set, it can be fairly profitable, especially if you can buy it at a good price. But you know, a big set of books are heavy, they're really hard to ship, they're hard to deal with. So it was on our road trip coming back home, and we were stopping at different thrift stores, and I just kind of was scanning the books really quick, and I saw that. And I thought, you know what? I bet the people who want that whole set, there were no other books in the set. There was just this. It was this soft cover index. And I thought, you know what? I bet people want to complete a set, or who have the set want the index. So I looked it up real quick, and sure enough, they sold pretty consistently for over $20. So we were happy about that. And I went ahead and grabbed that. And it was $24.99, but it also had the 10% off. Now, don't even ask me what this is. I have no idea. My husband found this at a thrift store locally. It's about a half hour away or more, maybe an hour away. We were just kind of poking around, and as a family, and we went into a thrift store. He saw this. He must have scanned it with he didn't really know what it was. He said it's something to do with, I don't know, recording equipment or something like that. So maybe, you could say in a comment below, but anyway, it was good. You can see the background. He had taken the background away, but then look at the gray background for everything else. He listed it in the car while he was waiting for me to finish at the thrift store on that day. So it was a while ago. It took a little bit, but it finally sold, and it sold for $45 because we had the coupon running. Okay, flatware. Flatware used to be one of my biggest sellers, and when I had my blog, I wrote blog posts about how to sell flatware and what brands to look for, and the return on investment for flatware is so great. So I had gotten these 3 forks and then some teaspoons in this pattern on like a Sunday at a thrift store, and it's 5 pieces of silverware or flatware for $1, so 20 cents a piece. And okay, 60 cents into $28. So I did take a $28 offer on this, but I had listed them like I found them Sunday, listed Tuesday, sold Thursday, or found Sunday, listed Thursday, sold, I don't know. Maybe they sold Saturday. But anyway, within a week, they were sold, right? Now, what was funny is the reason I took an offer that quickly, that low, was this woman messaged me, and she's like, I'm missing 2 forks. Can you do any better on the price than the 10% coupon? And I just kind of laughed, and I was like, I'm thinking to myself, like, that's not how this works. Like, just because you don't need the 3rd fork is not my problem, right? Like, you have to pay for it. And so anyway, we were just kind of laughed about that whole thing. But what I went ahead and did is I thought, you know what? When I'm sending offers to people, a lot of times I will do, there's already a 10% coupon, and if I'm going to send an offer, I'll send a 20% offer. So I said, you know what? I'll at least do the 20%. If that works out to 20%, I don't even know. I might have done a little bit more. And I had room to play around like that because the return on investment is so good. So 60 cents into $28 within a week, I will take that anytime. The brand is Reed & Barton. And yes, I do plan on having some videos coming up soon. It's coming up, I shouldn't say promise soon, but I would like to get back into my flatware again, and I can share some of the things I know about listing and finding and listing and selling flatware. If that's something you think you'd be interested in, leave a comment below and let me know if you'd like to know more about flatware. Okay, so another listing we had up for a while. It was last winter or early this year. My husband was still working with me and listing, and we just kind of discovered different things that camo were selling pretty well, and we just kind of were grabbing anything we could find. So not every camo piece is really worth listing or selling. And then the other problem is this one didn't have the size tag, or yeah, the size tag was missing, so we were kind of guessing. But my husband was like, I don't know. We were laughing because he must have been in a mood, and he had priced it like at $50. Like, it was really high. So it had been listed a while, and we kept dropping the price, and finally someone offered us $18, and we're like, yeah, sure, no problem. So that sold. Glad to move that on, and now we're just a little more selective with buying camo pieces. Okay, what is going on? Hold on. Do I have that separate? Oh my goodness. I had these. Oh, here we go. Threw me off. This big row of other tops you might like made me think I was on the wrong page. Okay, so this is what I sold. It was a Lululemon Swiftly Tech crew neck tee. We are moved on to Poshmark, in case you hadn't noticed. Now, I think Lululemon, the hype is dying down a little bit. Like, this t-shirt a year or so ago even would have sold like super, super quickly. And this took a while. So it's a size 12, which is kind of unusual. From what I've found, the pieces I found have been a lot smaller. So we sold that one for $25. This is a mug we sold for $14. Not too bad. I love selling mugs on Poshmark because you can put them in whatever kind of priority box or whatever that you want. And they're actually getting a pretty good deal on shipping a lot of times too. But I've sold these Anthropologie. They're called Homegrown, and they have different initials on them. And so I usually pick those up when I find them. Let me show you the bottom. Hold on a second. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Let me show you the bottom of this. So this is a bird mark. As you can see, it does not say Anthropologie anywhere on it. So when you see that little bird mark, that's Anthropologie. So that's my little tip for Anthropologie mugs. And I told you once I got into telling you or sharing all of my sales within a week, that I would share the good and the bad. So this really didn't end up being worth much. Again, this was from last year, and on Poshmark, I sometimes do some sales, and I'm not the best at discounting things and then raising them back up again. And so I think the prices just kind of get lower and lower over time for my older stuff. I don't upkeep. There's lots of tricks and things to do on Poshmark, and I don't always keep up with all of them. But this one, I got an offer for $8 and just went ahead and took it just to move things on. These I was glad to sell, especially this time of year. They've been listed maybe since like spring or early summer. These are snowboard pants by Burton. They sold for $48. Then this Banana Republic tweed blazer, size 4. Just kind of taking advantage of some of the trends, the Barbie core. Everything is pink right now. It has a very like Clueless, if you remember that movie, it kind of has that kind of vibe, and so Y2K. And anyway, sold for $25. It was a super cute little blazer. Here's another one of I think my husband got these last year in our bins. And our bins, we're in a really small town. I might throw up a video sometime about our bins because they're teeny tiny. And they're not Goodwill bins. They're another local thrift store. So he, little shorts. He didn't really pay much for them, but the brand was just North Crest, which I think is Walmart or something like that. So happy to move them on for $7. Then this was the craziest thing. There was a rack, there was these copper and brass utensils, and they're not super old. They're distressed looking. My husband looked them up. I don't know. They're from like the 80s or something like that. And I don't know, a few years back on Etsy, these would have sold within like a week. And this time I had them over on I had them on Etsy, I had them on Poshmark, I had them on eBay. And except for one lady who kept messaging me really weird questions on eBay, like there was hardly any interest. And I thought, is that farmhouse look, like, is it really super not popular? I just thought there was always a market for these. So it was really strange. It was something, we've had them listed for a while, and in the past they would have sold for more. So we were just thrilled because they're kind of awkward to store. We were just thrilled to get that $24 offer, and we took it. And then just a scarf. I think again in our little bins thrift store. My husband picked this up at some point. So $12, move it on out. Okay, same thing. Let's go over to Etsy. Not a huge amount of stuff going on over there, but we did sell this pattern. It's called New York. It was from the 50s. It's just for lingerie, but it was a bit of a larger size. And so I'm always happy when I sell patterns for more than $20. And so we got $25 for that one. And I believe it was to a repeat buyer, so that's always nice. And then this is Jessica McClintock. It wasn't gunny sacks, but it was definitely 1980s wedding dress, and that sold for $10. Okay, I'm about to move to Ruby Lane. This is our last platform for the day. And yes, I am planning on making some videos about Ruby Lane and about selling on it. I'm pretty sure it's probably the one most people are the least familiar with. And so that would be a really good thing to put out there. I do enjoy selling on Ruby Lane. Every platform has its pros and cons. I will say that. So it's not perfect, and it's a little bit smaller, but I have been pleasantly surprised with the results I have gotten. And this week I've gotten 5. Was it 5? No, 6. I think I said before 5, but I think there's 6 sales for the week. So that actually is not that bad, even like compared to some of my other platforms. So these playing cards sold for $30. They actually sold for $25. The buyer had asked if I would take an offer, would do an offer for $25. But his question came like in the middle of the night, and then he went ahead and bought them anyway. And so I just went ahead and gave him the difference, because I would have said yes if I had been awake. So you never know. Repeat buyers are a big deal on Ruby Lane. And so anytime you can kind of encourage that kind of relationship with your customers, then, and I have Mid-Century does okay on Ruby Lane. I see more and more on there, and I see more and more sales of it. And so I think if we can get the buyers who are interested in mid-century items to come find things on Ruby Lane, the better off we'll be. So I have a bunch of it to list here, and it's stuff that I would have, like, without a doubt put on Etsy in the past, but I like Ruby Lane better than Etsy at this moment for my general vintage. And so I'm trying to build that up. So I just love these playing cards. Very, very mid-century modern pattern. They were still sealed each deck was still sealed, and they sold for $25, which I thought was nice. This little jar was by Gorham. It's a little cut glass jar, and they made the picture really big, but it looks like that. And it was at Goodwill. It was just loose on a shelf without a price tag, and I believe it had been in a baggie, and someone had ripped a bag open and didn't want it, or that had fallen out at some point. But the cashier for me that day was, I think, a manager, so he went ahead and priced it at 99 cents, and I said, sure, I'll take that, and sold it for 40. Oops, wrong one. I thought this book was so pretty. It was in such good shape. It was from 1913, and it was Candies and Bonbons and How to Make Them. And so sold for $30. It was such a pretty book. This one sold really quickly. Joan Rivers. Another one like my flatware. Might even have been the same day I found the flatware because it was the same thrift store. And they have some costume jewelry just kind of hanging up as you're checking out. And I kind of popped over and I looked through it. It's usually a bunch of not great stuff. The stuff that is a little bit better, they do have in cases, and they usually price it kind of really high. But they just had this one hanging there, and it was $2. And it had a Joan Rivers tag on it. Let me find it. You can see that. Joan Rivers jewelry does sell very, very well. This sold very quickly on Ruby Lane to a buyer in China, I believe, who used a shipping forwarder. So I love those kinds of sales. I just have to ship it to Oregon, and then they ship it on from there. Pretty necklace, but sold like within a day for $40. And then this was it's called a watch pin. So let me get some better pictures. It's really small, but it is gold filled, not real gold, but gold filled. These are really popular. It had a marking on it, and it was Carl Art was the mark that I figured out. And I don't know if you can see, so it's got the pin, but then it also has this hook right here, and that's for you to hang a watch. Or a little locket or something like that. So a lot of times you can find them. I think I found this actually with a Coro locket, but I sold the locket separately because they were two different brands. This wasn't Coro, it was Carl Art, so I divvied them up, and this one sold for $28. And then last on Ruby Lane, I love this necklace. Of course, I love anything Scandinavian, so this is Swedish, and the company is called Rune Tennismed. I'm sure I said that wrong, but it's just pewter. Let me show you the mark. It just says R Tennismed, Sweden. And I think these should sell way better and for more money than they do. That's just my opinion, but I will just buy them anywhere I find them and sell them, and I got $22 for them. I might have gotten this in a jewelry lot, so I don't exactly remember, but made a pretty good profit on that. Okay, so that was the week's sales. I need to get myself working now that I've got awesome internet. I need to just see how fast I can get things listed this week, and hopefully have some more awesome things to share with you next Tuesday. But if you would like, go ahead and hit the like button if you don't mind, if you liked it, not just because. But then also let me know in the comments below if there's anything that you wanted to know more about, or if there was anything that was like a new brand or a new idea of things that could possibly sell. So, all right, I'm going to get going. I'm going to let you go, and happy selling.